This Halloween, something spooky, something mysterious is on the way.
What's that? What's that?
It's the Soul of Detroit.
On Halloween night, you'll see the great pumpkin with your own eyes. When are you going to stop believing in something that isn't true? When you stop believing in that fellow with the red suit and the white beard.
Now, follow ML Elric and the gang on their hauntingly hilarious adventures.
I had a little trouble with the scissors.
While ML and Marc wait for the great one in a pumpkin patch that's more magical than ever.
There he is! There he is! It's
Shawn! On a remastered edition that includes a new spellbinding documentary filled with tricks and treats.
I got 5 pieces of candy. I got a quarter. I got a rock.
You asked it around, get too much around my face. It's gone.
What are you doing?
That is not paid for by them. That is paid for by the people of Detroit.
You might be qualified, ML.
I'm not qualified for this job.
Let me tell you something. You want to go right now? Okay? You want to go right now, Al?
Hey kids, it's your old pal ML Elric welcoming you to a special Halloween edition of ML's Soul of Detroit, where we're going to teach you how to grow the biggest pumpkin in the world, so large that it may actually have its own gravity and replace Pluto as one of those planets in our solar system or galaxy.
A dwarf planet, you mean?
A dwarf pumpkin. Yes. Frank Morse will be joining us to tell us all about that, as well as how some people kind of stood him up when he was getting ready to make a big show with this gourd, if it's a gourd. But we'll ask him about that in just a minute. And we're going to be talking about the big game, Michigan State. So far not living up to my prediction they'd go 12-0, but this will be a chance for them to get on the right side of it this Saturday, which I'm confident they'll do. And later in the show, we catch up with my old pal Bob Carmack.
I wish everybody could see Sean's face. Not mine, but Sean's face.
Well, you teased it in that fun opening, by the way. Trouble with the scissors, trouble with the snap.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. I love it. A great,
Fuck off. All right, continue the tease.
A great memory. And we have some feedback taking issue with both my most recent column about Bob Carmack, an old acquaintance of mine.
Stooge.
And then some.
You're a stooge.
I'm a stooge. At least I'm Mo. I mean, I
faux-
got Larry Fine over here, and then I got Shemp on the other
A
side.
faux friend of the working man. Is that what you are? Is that the?
I think it's pronounced Fox.
Is it?
But,
Look at
Isn't that what he did? I don't know.
Oh, Larry Cheese. No, that was Curly.
Oh, okay.
I always liked Shemp. I always thought Shemp was a little more sophisticated.
You would. Yeah.
He brought a subtlety.
So highbrow.
He brought a subtlety to the character that wasn't captured until
Why
Curly.
are you looking at me when you say that?
Because I'm looking at you for agreement.
Yes.
So-
No, everything you say is correct.
We're going to get to all that before we sign off. And, of course...
and some Texas stuff with some lions.
Oh, we have some tech. Okay, yeah, we'll get to some of that on the back end of the show. If you're watching us on YouTube, we really appreciate it. Please subscribe to the show if you're just listening, because that way, if nothing else, you'll always get an alert when we go live, and it does support the show. But if you're listening, stick around to the end, because after room 7, 6, or 9, when we played Let's See If We Can Stump Shawn,
Of course you can.
we'll find out about
I know nothing.
about what's going on with the Lions.
In fact, why am I here?
I can tell you right now, they stink. But we want to before we get into it, thank David Hall and our good friend Luke Nowacki for supporting the show. We'll tell you how they can support you and your financial dreams right after we talk to Frank Morse, who's been patiently waiting on the line. Of course, you got to be patient when you wait for a pumpkin to reach over a ton. I mean, Frank, how big is this monster?
It's 2,350 pounds and takes about 100 days to grow. So
100 days?
Yeah, only 100 days.
What are you injecting it with?
Right? That everything, but no. So
it's the Tony
April
Mandrich of
12th is when
pumpkins.
you started inside on April 12th and then get it outside to the garden in the first week of May, but it's still freezing outside and the ground's frozen. So you got to do a few tricks to get it going, some heating cables in the ground, build a little mini hoop house with a heater and a grow light. If you're trying to compete for records and stuff, you got to do what all the other guys are doing.
But here's what's interesting, Frank, though. You're not a farmer.
No, not at all.
Oh,
yeah,
you're a Michigan fan.
Basically, only been doing it 2 years. competitively or going to competitions, and just tried to find the rarest genetics on earth. And it happened to be, actually, I think you guys talked about it last year, maybe on Drew and Mike's, a guy out of Wisconsin that grew a 2,500 pounder that split on him.
Yep.
So it didn't count. So I grabbed seeds from him and took the gamble, and didn't split on me. So took the record too. So kind of worked out.
So how do you get into this? This is I mean, do you have sponsors? Are you an NIL pumpkin grower?
Right. I got into it during the pandemic. It was just, I was bored at home. I was going to start a normal garden, and I was like, oh, this is boring. Not going to do this. And then I was like, tried to do something for the kids too, because I got 2 little ones. So trying to just grow something cool that was different.
Weed? Shawn asked the question on everyone's mind.
Yeah.
Why not weed? But I think you might have answered it by saying you have 2 little ones.
Well, you can never start too soon.
Yeah, no, I used to grow, and that's where I got all my knowledge from, was that world, and seemed to be similar with the pumpkin world, where you got to grow roots in the ground. The more roots you get in the ground, the more plant you're going to get, the more it's going to eat, the bigger it's going to be. So I just used a lot of the stuff those guys use for beneficial bacteria or root growth, or just anything to help roots explode and take off. I mean, I use the whole line of advanced nutrients, which now they're sponsoring me. So
nice.
Good way to get that plug in. That plug was great. That was a good.
I know what you're going to say, though, Mark.
Wait, what do you think I'm going to say?
That weed settles everything else in the world. That we take the seeds of weed and we have 2,300 pound pumpkins.
No, what I was going to say is the people I know that have grown weed in the past are like, I stopped growing it because I just ended up giving it away because it's so legal. People just go buy it. So they kind of figured, why am I doing this hassle when I'm just giving it away to people?
Yeah, that was did become kind of that, where it was like, okay, who's really buying this anymore type of thing. But you kind of get stuck with it, or even guys right now, because of the industry, are getting stuck with a lot of product, and hard to get rid of this year, it sounds like. But I mean, that'd be cool to get a master grower's job somewhere in Michigan. And
well, I mean,
I think I could help out a grow tremendously. I mean, very knowledgeable on that world and growing in general.
Well, I'm sure there's a market out there for a 2,300 pound bud. That's that's going to keep the shelves stocked for a long time. And in fact, depending on what happens Saturday in Ann Arbor, I may be a client, and that may not be enough to actually ease my pain.
To get it down to the big house and get it carved and get on the field, the biggest pumpkin ever grown in Michigan, at the big house, at the biggest college game in the area. But I don't know. We're still kind of working on it. We'll see if it works out. It doesn't look like it's probably gonna, but
so
we still
tell us about this. I mean, we have pumpkins, and one year I left them out for the squirrels, and the next year some vines started growing where the pumpkin was, and I thought, oh damn, I'm going to have my own pumpkin patch, and nothing actually grew. I just had these really shitty looking vines that grew all over the place, and there was no pumpkin.
Yeah.
What happened? What did I do wrong? I mean, I didn't even have a 1 pound pumpkin out of that thing.
Yeah, it probably was disease, or they might have aborted or something, because it just, it's got to have certain care to it to get it to produce the pumpkins. And then with these ones, you're growing 1,000 square foot of vines in a greenhouse, or a lot of guys aren't using a greenhouse, but it's a little extra, like nitrous at the end when it's September and it's freezing outside, and I can put a plastic in a heater and make it July in there. It helps it keep growing.
So when do you know that this thing is maxed out? I mean, when do you decide to, is pick it the right term? Harvest it?
Yeah, pick it. They have a growth curve with them, and that's what all these guys are trying to chase, the best growth curves, because it's probably the size like that in June 18th, the pumpkin's about that big, and then by 4th of July, it's only that big, and then by the end of July, it's 1,000 pounds. Ooh. So it starts taking off rapidly fast. Yeah, and usually it drops off in September and stops growing, but these ones just keep going. So it did probably 40 pounds a day, then it got to 50, the most it got to was 57 pounds for a week, which is like 400 pounds in a week. About 2 pounds an hour it's growing. You can almost watch it grow, which I should have done. Should have done the time lapse.
Time lapse, yeah.
Had 300,000 subscribers now, like the other guy on TikTok.
Now, I would imagine the little ones love it, right? They probably think it's really cool. Look at this giant
They
pumpkin.
just want to sit on it. Yeah.
The wife, though, I mean, it takes up a lot of space.
Yeah, well, that's why I do it over at my dad's, but it takes up a lot of time. The hour and a half every day trimming vines, probably 3 wheelbarrows every day at some time.
God.
Because every one of those vines, and there's about 17 on each side of a 30-foot vine, and they all are 15 feet long each way, right and left. And every one of those produces a pumpkin every day almost that you got to trim off, and male flowers and female flowers and tertiaries, a third vine that you got to trim all that stuff off so it sends all the energy to the main pumpkin that you're trying to.
Can we go back just for a second? So let me get this straight.
What happened?
July 4th to the end of the month, it goes from 50 pounds or whatever to 1,000 pounds?
Yeah. And then another 1,000
What the
pounds.
hell?
That's like you during the holiday season.
That's some kind of a what's the biology behind it, or is this some kind of satanic thing?
Just genetic crossing through the years since the 70s. These guys just keep crossbreeding the biggest pumpkins. Either they'll take one that's super heavy, like mine didn't go heavy at all. If it would have went heavy, it would be a U.S. record or world record. But there's however thick it is on the inside is how the heavy percentage. So they're chasing like those 15% heavy numbers, and everyone's trying to get seeds that go super heavy and then cross them with another seed. Like right now, the world record seed will sell this year for $1,000 a seed.
Wow.
And it was $500 last year, and it was probably 100 or so the year before. But
So how many seeds from this state record one that you just grew? How many seeds will you be able to sell from it?
I got 180. I've already sold 10 for $1,000, so $100 each.
That's a pretty good. There's a picture.
Oh, look at that picture.
That's a pretty good investment, then, man. In a way, right?
To a degree, that was the whole point of it, was trying to get the money back that you're putting into it. That's the seed right there.
Yeah, that does not look that much bigger than the seeds that I love eating every Halloween.
That's what's nuts too. I just would have assumed like you just grow it, and I didn't know you had to spend an hour and a half every day trimming it. And then I had no idea that. I guess I just didn't think it through that you would have seeds to sell at a huge profit.
Yeah, and then won 7,000 down in Ohio at the weigh off, so it should hopefully be like a $25,000 pumpkin. Which
Wow,
damn!
I never knew this existed. You know this.
Mike
But
wants
that
to
too,
ditch
you
the
got to hold
podcast.
some for next year, because if people do grow them and they grow a 2,000 pounder, now it's proven, and now the seeds go for more the next year, the following year. So
How's the flesh? What's it taste like?
right, sell them to some gourmet, maybe truffle companies or something that put it on some expensive food. Maybe I can sell them to them.
You could can a factory's worth of stuff off that one pumpkin,
yeah,
couldn't you?
Yeah, if it's good. I mean,
You'd have to carve it with a chainsaw. I mean, this thing's a beast.
Well, I want to go
talking density and stuff.
Yeah, I want to go back to that. So you were talking about, having it carved and getting it at the big house, which Sean's on that already, right? Can you get it at the big house?
Yeah, he's got it.
Yeah.
You've got connections.
Well, John Windsor over there has got it going.
Now, if you can't,
You got him all fired up with his pumpkin talk,
Wait,
man.
what-
He's already making pies.
I didn't hear what he said. What did he say? Beyond Windsor?
John Windsor's
Jan
over there.
Windsor,
He's
yeah,
got
Jan Windsor's all fired up.
Oh, is that what Mike said?
So if Sean can't get it to the big house, which I have full confidence that you're all over this, Sean.
Yeah, he's got a Honda. He can make it there. Just pop the hatch.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do with it? If what do you do with it once you get all the seeds out and everything?
right? You got about a week before it turns into 2,300 pounds of mush, and then it's all over the front yard. I usually just chainsaw it up and take it to some dumpster or throw it in the woods for the deer.
Oh yeah.
So you're not going to have like your mother-in-law move in or anything.
Yeah, right. The kids have been climbing in it like a house because I carved a hole out, so they've been going in it.
So they can go inside of this thing.
I think that's kind of fun. I don't
Kind of
know.
wild.
Well, you could probably smoke
kinda
weed
scares
out of it
me,
like an
but-
apple.
A little chimney.
You know what I mean?
You seem to be singularly
You could
focused
make
on the whole weed
you could-
aspect of this.
No, you could make an awesome big ass hookah. right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
and just
Gravity
pretend.
bong.
Yeah, exactly. There you
I
go.
wondered why you brought so much candy in today. I'm like, now I know. Are you
What?
high?
I haven't touched the candy at all.
Okay.
It's just the thought of weed that's got Shawn wired, so it seems to have a counterintuitive effect
Sorry,
on.
I'm a little chatty early in
That's
the
good.
show today.
That's good. That's the way we like it.
I got to beat the yawn thing.
He had a Red Bull in the parking lot, in the green room.
I'll go back to being yawn. Just
No.
Don't you worry.
We want the House of Windsor to flourish. So now, Frank, you were going to take this thing to the big house, and somebody stood you up. Did they like pull up and they said, "Oh shit, I'm not putting that in my car"? I mean, did they know what they
Right.
had? Did they know what they had? What they were up against?
I think it was more because the guy set the U.S. record this year at 2,560 pounds, and he got his carbs, and the old world record was actually the exact same weight as mine. So I don't really know how that would have worked anyways if you tie the world record, if you could get a plaque. But I think that's what he was chasing after. And I mean, he called me and messaged me all September. He came to the weigh off in Ohio and gave me some merchandise, said he was going to come out and carve it. Really wanted to, and then this week he said he wasn't really available unless I had some money, and it just got a little weird. So still haven't really heard back from him. He's supposed to come Sunday, and of course I told him the big house thing wasn't happening, so I'm sure that's why he probably backed out as well.
Until Shawn gets on it.
By the way, is there
And
a
this
lot
guy
of
can 3D carve some cool stuff? Like it's not just like a normal pumpkin. It's a 3D carving. Like you wouldn't even know it's a pumpkin type of thing. You could make like a dinosaur or a deer or anything that'd just be a full sculpted, like,
We got to, you know what we have to do?
solid.
We got to get ML. We got to get your ESPN producer buddy to make some contacts because it's on ABC, ESPN. You would think they would love the opportunity to pay a guy to carve this giant pumpkin to use it for their TV show.
Just afraid it's going to get carved into me with a big circle around it. I don't know if I'm ready to be
well, not for the game.
pumpkin head, literally.
Let me ask you, Frank, is there corruption in this
yeah.
in this game? How do people cheat? Do they like small syringes full of mercury
on
and
the
they're going to
juice.
Yeah, right.
get it into the
That's
flesh?
what those damn fishing guys were screwing me because that happened right during the weigh off. So there was just a bunch of people asking, "Oh, what's in there? Some lead?" And all of us in the industry or whatever it is try to like, can't people just pump this full of water?
It's
like,
a sport.
why
You
is
can
this
say
cheap?
it. It's a sport.
Yeah, can they? Can they pump it full of water or some heavy
Would
liquid?
think, but there's 15 grand in seeds in there, so I wouldn't do it. Ruin the seeds. But at the same time, if it would have been something ridiculous like 2,800, I would have cut it open live in front of everybody
Just to
because of
prove
the dang fishermen.
Yeah.
Damn.
Well,
Well,
like the shark in Jaws, cutting it open, looking for the little boy.
oh, yeah. Eesh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was nasty. Frank, where can people see pictures of this monstrosity?
I mean, you could go on my YouTube channel too, Frank Pumpkin, or you could go on, where are pictures of that? I mean, there's an Operation Pumpkin. I don't know if they have a website, but they took a bunch of professional pictures that, there's a ton of them out there. That's the Way Off site that was in Hamilton, Ohio, but it was an extra week of growth is why I went down there. They have one in Dundee, Michigan. I mean, they also only pay $3,000, but that wasn't really the main issue. Was it's pacing world record, U.S. record numbers because you don't have a scale unless, well, next year I'll have a scale under it, a pallet scale, but you measure it, the circumference over the top and stem to blossom to know what the estimated weight is. And you just go on this little app and tells you what the estimated weight is. And I thought this thing would go heavy like all the previous seed or all the previous pumpkins that were grown with this seed. So it was pacing U.S. record like it should have been. And then there's a huge cavity on the inside too, a big bump under the bottom that goes up. And that might have cost me 100 pounds or something. You never know.
Well, there's always next year. That's what they say in Ann Arbor every year. So we wish you the best of luck, Frank. Go check out some pictures at Frank Pumpkin. If you're watching us on YouTube, he's flashing that upside down W on his.
What's your prediction, Frank? What's your prediction?
Probably. Can I say it on here? No,
Yeah. Say it.
I was
We'll
gonna
hold you
say
to.
something funny, but no. No, I don't know what the prediction.
no one else
we
does.
always lose when we're supposed to win, so I don't know.
Oh, come on. Let's be confident. Let's be confident, Frank.
Well, we definitely should win, but I don't know how big of it. You always think it's going to be this huge blowout, and then it never is. So it's always tough. But this year, I'm sure it'll sure it'll be a massacre, but you never know, right, ML?
That's what I like. It's what I like to hear, Frank.
Yeah, you just cost yourself a seed sale there, Frank.
Yeah,
Calling
right.
that guy in Wisconsin.
Yeah, I did actually. What else did I bring before we go here? Let me see.
Yeah, we got to. Speaking of growth, we got to talk about growth with Luke Nowacki. So let's flash the swag, and then we gotta get our chainsaw out.
Let's get this championship. This is the old state record now. Championship.
Oh, cool! He's got that's a whole belt.
It's like
Whoa.
Carrot Top pulling out the props.
Oh my god, I would wear that around just for
That is a
shits and
pretty
giggles.
sweet belt.
Yeah, they love me in Ohio, and all those Michigan growers. They just love me. They don't talk to me one bit. Didn't say a word to me at the way off. The guy running it's like they hate you. I'm like, good, I love it.
Does that come in a 35-inch waist? Because I might want to borrow that for the game.
Yeah, for sure. You can, yeah.
Okay, actually, probably 36. I may have lied a little bit there.
Mark Cuban's making money off us from Shark Tank.
Okay. Well, if Cuban's involved, that must be all right. Well, Frank, we'll check in with you next year to see if you got that world record. And if you don't, it's like we didn't even know you, man. We're only dealing with winners here today. So, okay, Frank Morse, Frank Pumpkin on YouTube. Check him out. And if you want a pie, you better get to his house fast.
We'll get it next year. I'm building another greenhouse. We're going to get it.
Nice.
Okay, that's a man on a mission. And, he's got a greenhouse. If you're looking to finance your house, call David Hall.
Oh, what a segue.
Hall Financial.
You caught me off guard.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we'll talk about Hall and Hall Financial. There's a lot of stuff you can do with the equity that's in your house. Maybe you don't have enough money, enough liquid, right? And you want to get it because over 40% of Americans don't even have $500 in an emergency fund. A lot of people don't realize you can use the equity in your home to put yourself in a better financial situation, right, Shawn? That's why I keep looking at you.
Yeah, no, I just thought you were looking at me because I'm a freak or something. I don't know.
I thought Shawn dipped into the Halloween candy.
He did. He did. Couldn't you hear that? Yeah.
Just now, though. No, I came in on my own volition. But get back to the
If
read.
you need money for more Halloween candy, try a cash out refinance from Hall Financial. It can help you relieve financial stress and keep you and your family prepared for the future. Whether you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your current home, you need to call Hall Financial first, 866-CALL-HALL, or get started by going to our website, and that'll link you up to callhallfirst.com.
I think that's great. These days, you should pull a mortgage loan out to fill your tank up, right?
Or you can get those. You can get those full-size candy bars when you're handing. Did you ever go trick or treating and get like a real candy bar?
I haven't
not
seen
the
actually a
one?
full. Like you're talking about one that's about 6
like
by
you got a
3 inches or
Snickers.
something.
Well, actually, I just read the other
You
day.
remember those?
Oh, yeah.
Those big ass symphony bars.
The fun-size candy bars, they're actually shrinking down. Halloween candy is getting smaller.
Well, it's like when you go to the movies. Back when we used to go to the movies, and the boxes of Milk Duds would be smaller every time. Every couple of years, they shrink.
I go to the dollar store first. I jack all my candy.
And then you sneak it in.
Yeah, and I.
What do you do for nachos? Where do you put the cheese sauce? In your top coat?
Wow, that's a bad visual. No, I will get a frozen Coke from Burger King and zip in there because now the damn movie store or whatever, the concession stand, you have to take out a second loan.
Yeah, you do. I feel like you support the theater though because that's how they make their money. So I feel almost obligated to get popcorn and a drink when you go to a theater.
I stopped feeling obligated to support them when they kept showing the Jim Varney films.
Oh, okay.
I hope no one at Michigan Stadium is listening to this because I will take my own cup into the game. Because
just to pee in.
Because where I sit, there's a
you
fountain,
pee in it,
and I don't want to buy a new one every week.
You pee in the cup.
I sit up in the club section, so there's a fountain.
How do you hide yourself when you're peeing in the cup in the stadium?
I'm not peeing in the cup.
How do you hide
I just said I sit in the club section, so I can go to the bathroom.
You wear a long coat and put the cup under so the.
No, I walk in with it in my hand, and no one says anything.
Ron Mexico.
Oh.
But that's how cheap I am because I don't want to spend $10 every week.
So what you're saying, if I understand this correctly, is you can put the cup at your feet on the cement and then you're so long that it gets into the cup.
Oh my God! Get your
No. He fills a cup at the fountain. He's.
I know he's not listening.
Now in overtime, he may resort to other strategies. but to relieve himself. But if you're looking for financial relief,
Oh my god!
I can't believe you're doing that.
Speaking of long, what you should do is go long with your
Exactly.
investments.
So you're saying you're long. I like that.
yeah. If
you want your cup to runneth over.
I had a
Luke
There
Nowacki.
you go, that's a good one.
I know somebody that went to high school with a friend whose name was Length Girthman. I think that's what you're going to start calling
Length and
you.
Girthman.
Length Girthman.
That's
that was
not a name.
That was their nickname. So I think that's.
not no one names their kid Length.
I think that's going to apply to you now after what you just said.
Sounds like he went into the movies.
I wish. Anyway, if you're facing a big decision, such as purchasing a new home or a new car, maybe even something cosmetic, you got to know how that decision is going to affect your current and future financial goals. Luke Nowacki and his team at Pinnacle Wealth Strategies can help you plan for all your financial goals, both today and in the future. Please give Luke a call, 248-663-4748 for a complimentary consultation to see if your plans align with your goals.
And when you call Luke, he'll make it all about you, sweetheart.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Royal Alliance Associates Inc. Member FINRA/SIPC. Royal Alliance Associates Inc. is separately owned, and other entities and/or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Royal Alliance Associates Inc.
So if you're watching us on YouTube, you can see as I stand up, I'm representing for my guys, the big green machine. Mark's decked out in his Michigan.
I didn't even realize I'm theme
Michigan
dressing
gear.
today.
And I'm decked out in Solar Detroit. The only one who actually cares about this podcast here.
He's the partisan. He is the professional sports writer.
Your words
He's
betray
right
you.
there in the middle.
They do. My actions.
Shit on the show half the time.
Yeah, even though he often takes leaves his Tesla outside Michigan Stadium when he goes there from his palatial estate just down the road.
How do I shit on the show? Oh, when it's 2.5 hours long, and I'm like, where's Cyrus?
And this is why it's 2.5 hours long. So,
okay, go ahead. Sorry, ML.
No. I
Those kids are just fucking around over here.
I am constantly amazed at either what an outlier I am,
And how little you've talked today?
or how crazy other people are. Ohio State, Jim Schaefer, proud Buckeye. In fact, believe it or not, was vice president of his class when he graduated. He and a buddy on a lark ran for president and vice president and got elected, which I think surprised them more than anybody else. As hardcore Buckeye as you'll ever find, this team is stacked every year. They pretty much fill the first round with players, and every time they play Michigan State, it's like, I don't know, man. And then they win.
Michigan State. He
Yeah,
says that.
yeah. Then they win like 79-3. I'm like, what's with you guys?
Because he's probably shell shocked from the couple times that State has beaten them.
Well, we've yanked the rug out from them.
That's what I mean.
Every
And
20
I think
years.
That's why when Michigan fans are worried about it too, it's for that very reason.
But that's what I mean. Same thing. You guys have a wagon, and Michigan fans tend to talk a lot of yang. But when it comes to this game, all of a sudden they start to clutch. It's like, we should massacre them. It should be a bloodbath. We should grind them into dust to make our bread.
They absolutely should.
I don't know. It might not.
May I recommend a
It's a
Twizzler?
rivalry game, huh?
May I recommend a Twizzler?
Oh, absolutely. Is it a brain twizzler, or do you actually have licorice for us?
No, because I want
Twizzlers
to
over
hear where he's going with this.
Who?
ML.
No, that's just my observation. I mean,
he already went.
So here's where I'm the outlier.
I think
here's where I'm the outlier.
He got there.
We could be going to play Alabama, and I'm like, we're going to kick Alabama's ass. I mean, I have a lot of confidence going into things, and I have a lot of hope. And I think the difference is I'm not afraid to hope, even though my hopes on a regular basis are dashed. But these teams that are big favorites, they seem to live in fear, which to me would take the joy out of having this massive behemoth of a program.
And I'll apply it simply to the fans. I won't even apply it to Harbaugh, who was 0-2 against Tucker, and I don't think he has a winning record against him since he's been there.
0-1 against Rocky Lombardi. I mean, that's the more shocking statistic.
But
He's 1-1 against Rocky, right? Because they beat Northern Illinois last year.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Revenge tour. Mac edition. Sorry, Chase Vinovich, whiny bitch, whatever your name is. What's he doing now? Is he still playing football, or is he selling hair products?
Are you done?
I'm curious. I'm legitimately curious. I know the guy who got clotheslined in Spartan Stadium survived to thrive in
Devin
Pittsburgh.
Bush. He's doing great.
I know. That's what I'm saying. He almost died in East Lansing, and he's doing great. What happened to Chase? Is he still?
Didn't you love it when he did the stomped on the logo at Spartan Stadium?
Me? Did I love it?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't care. I know it's fun. I like college football.
It's super fun. No, that's what I'm saying.
That's what I like about rivalries.
It's outrageous.
Are you going to be okay?
No, I was just wondering. I seriously am wondering, is Winovich still playing?
Yes, he's with the Browns now.
Is he doing good?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
I did kind of like his attitude.
Okay.
I just didn't like his.
No, I like him a lot. I thought he was great.
Yeah.
Anyway, to answer your question,
yes, thank you.
I think that worry factor is there for fans because which fan base has more to lose here, right? Who has more pressure on them right now? If Michigan State loses, it's like, oh yeah, they were 3 touchdown underdogs. This season's been a disaster. We're going to come back next year better and stronger. Michigan, all you hear is they're going to be 11-0 when they get to Ohio State. Everything's in front of them, right? There's more pressure on that team. So I think when pressure comes, you start thinking of, oh boy, what is the worst that can happen here?
So I see that, but this is one of the things, and I think Nick Saban understands this with Alabama, where he tells people, hey, lay off us because we're pretty good. That notion that you're so good that you can't take joy in it. It's just a relief when you turn out to be as good as you think you're going to be.
I think there's joy
that
in
to
it.
me seems to be that's horrible. I think that's an unhealthy situation. I would much rather be perhaps unrealistically optimistic, and when you win, you're like, woo, and when you lose, it's sort of like,
That's really funny because my friends, we have this big group chat online, and there's different channels. So this one is like the Michigan channel, and there's one guy who is just overly optimistic all the time. And
that's my guy.
And then there's another guy who is just horribly pessimistic. I kind of lean towards waiting for something bad to happen, because I'd rather be pleasantly surprised than just let down.
Boy, that just seems
that's just the makeup of a person, though.
No, I know there's a lot of people like that, but it just seems to take a lot of the joy out of it, where it's not it's not a celebration. It's almost
but part of the joy of being a fan is the angst. You like the angst. By the way,
it's not.
Since you turned down the Twizzlers,
logical.
how about a Reese's?
No, I said give me some Twizzlers. You're the one bogarting the Twizzlers.
Oh, did you?
You had all that weed, that pumpkin weed, before you came in here. Pumpkin chai spice sensimilla.
That doesn't unnerve you guys, by the way, that a fucking pumpkin goes from 50 pounds to 1,000 pounds in 3.5 weeks?
Not at all. Why?
That just seems like there's the devil at work there.
I would like to see if I could
pumpkin.
actually watch it grow.
It's just a pumpkin.
I think
you know what I mean.
You could discern an increase in size.
But you heard what he said. He trims it so all the nutrients go directly to that vine is sucking.
Yeah, but 950 pounds in 3.5 weeks. Okay,
he needs to get a Manscaped sponsorship. They must do some sort of like yard tools.
Now that I want to go back.
Speaking of tools, so what's the Michigan fan have to say?
No, I'm not worried about
help from an unexpected quarter there.
I'm not worried that we're going to lose this game. That's not what I'm talking about. But
you said you were a little. Come on, be honest.
Am I more worried about this game than Penn State? In a way, because I didn't think Penn State was that good. I think I'm wrong about that. I think Penn State's actually a lot better than I gave them credit for. But I'm not worried about this game at all.
Yeah, I'm not sold on Penn State, but I think Penn State probably position for position is stronger than the Spartans.
But I will say I will say though as a football fan in general, I'm never really comfortable unless there's a 2-possession lead, right? Because anything can happen.
Right.
Yeah, no, and
college football's weird.
Yeah, D'Antonio lived for years where it's just as long as we're within one score, I'm comfortable. And
true.
That was a great philosophy until he took his foot off the gas against Nebraska and they lost and ruined their perfect season on a goofy play when they were in South Bend the last time. He let off the gas on Notre Dame and they almost.
He's not the only coach that does that. A lot of coaches do that because coaches by nature are very conservative.
Some are, but then you have your Sabins and you have your Myers and I think you have your Harbaughs where if they can put points on and Ryan Day too. But
throwing deep with 8 minutes left up by 40.
Yeah, when you can put points on the board, they do. I mean, I
think that's shitty, but
I do too.
But when it's a 1-possession game, you keep going with what's working.
Right.
Well, 2-possession, keep going with what's working.
But I think the problem with D'Antonio there is when you're rolling and then you take your foot off the gas and momentum swings, you can't just automatically say, well, we're going to take it back. I don't think it works quite that easily. But for this weekend, and I will be there,
You will?
Yeah, I always go to this game.
Take your own cup into the game. It's a good tip.
That's right. For me, I won't be in the club level. I'll be
could
wedged
use a
in
cup right
between
now,
110,000 skunks. So
Nice broad brush.
there'll be some Spartans there. I figure you probably fit 111,000 people in there, so there'll be 1,000. And it only takes 300
Let me ask you,
Spartans to hold off.
You don't have to give away where your seats are, but when you get them, are they through Michigan State? Are they up in that top corner? Or the bottom end zone? What is that?
I will not be back on TV. I think it's safe to say from my vantage point. No, usually when I go, a friend will have some tickets, or I've sat in Drew's seats. In fact, I remember the year that, I think it was the first year I went there since I was a little kid, and it was the day that you guys found out that Riff was going in a different direction, maybe how they phrased it. It was
that would have been spring.
Well, there was something where I know Drew was going to go, and he got some kind of phone call.
Oh, that's when Drew left.
Yeah, and I was like, oh well.
That was the trouble with the snap game.
Yeah, and he's like, where did Drew go? We're going to go to the game, and he kindly gave me a ticket, and then LaDuff was there, and he was going to go, but I think he was enjoying the pregame a little too much. So by the end of the game, it was me and 3 empty seats. I had more room to swing my elbows around in the big house than anybody ever has. But this year I got tickets through...
For the trouble with the snap game?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Believe me, I had lots of room to do a little Irish jig up there. But this year I got tickets through... I'm going to be in the Spartans section, although based on...
I was just curious.
Based on the number of people who aren't buying tickets, if they got down to me, I think there are a lot of Spartans like, I don't want to have any part of this. So I may be sitting next to a bunch of Wolverines
fan base.
Who picked up tickets on the secondary market.
So. That was no. Keep talking. That was not long enough.
I'm waiting. Shut me up with some Twizzlers. You just, you can't tease the Carlos and Shawn show, but the candy, you're a master of this. It's like friggin' Edward R. Murrow over here.
I brought you some Halloween treats.
I know, but you're not distributing them. What, I got to ring the doorbell?
I gave them to Mark.
I got a rock.
I gave them to Mark. Mark was supposed to distribute them.
Okay. So, anyways,
I'm going to do the thing I hate doing, and I'm going to ask you for a prediction.
7-4, Michigan State. No, I think
nice prediction.
I think it's going to be. This is a cop out, but I think somebody is going to break through big, and I think if somebody breaks through big, it's going to be Michigan because they have those two.
Then just say that
those two horses in the backfield. But if we somehow bottle them up. I just don't know that our offense is going to be able to produce enough points to keep up in a shooting match. Although, with a week off, maybe Peyton Thorne will be more healthy, and maybe he'll run more than he has. And I don't know that you guys have seen a running quarterback. Have you? Did Tungavailoa run very much?
Clifford can run.
Clifford run?
Yeah.
Okay. How did he do?
Well, he had one big play.
Okay. No, and we don't have a kicker. That's the other thing. When you don't have a kicker, it changes
great punter, though.
The whole game. All-American.
I know.
The guy's had more reps. He's had more touches than our running backs, which is why he's had so many kicks is because not
So what's your score?
I got to do some math here. I am going to say...
My God, just throw one out.
Okay, 24-21 Michigan State.
Oh, you're such a fan.
I'm counting on that field goal.
Such a fan pick.
What about you?
Me? Oh, I'm expecting a 42 to 12 win. I expect Michigan to cover in this game.
I think it could. I think
32-16.
32-16.
Well, that would not be covering.
I could see 49-10 or 49-7.
I could see that too.
Yeah, I mean,
we just saw 44-10.
Well, it also depends who's playing. I mean, Michigan State's getting some players back, but we're not very deep. I think Michigan has better health, and I think they have better depth. And when you're pounding the line, you got guys who've been hurt. That's, you wear them down fast, and I just don't see our offenses chewing up a lot of clock, especially since we're not running the ball. So, it could get ugly fast, but
this is going to sound ridiculous.
That's why there's fireball.
I really hope Michigan gets the ball first because they play so much better when they get the ball first, and Michigan State does not play well when they kick off first.
Well, and that's
set
interesting.
A tone. You can drive and set a tone.
Yeah, no. Spartans have been saying for a long time, take the ball because you always end up one score down. And the other thing is, why are we worried about the wind? We do not have a kicker, so the wind is not going to be a factor.
Yeah,
just.
Yeah, I would much rather start possession than.
Yeah,
give it up.
Generally, I'd rather have in the second half, but I do think for this Spartan team, forget about the wind. The wind will not be a factor. You're not kicking the ball. You're going 100 yards every possession. Take the ball.
Okay.
So I think we both want the ball to begin with, but yeah, I'll be there. I'll be posting my usual expressions of delight or disgust at Elric, ELRICK, if you want to check it out.
I'll be there, and I will not be posting because I will be in the moment.
Yeah, you'll be stealing soda.
What time are you both getting there?
I remember when you had to buy a soda to get tickets to the big house.
What time y'all getting there to Ann Arbor?
I don't know. I'm stopping by the world's greatest tailgate beforehand.
As am I.
Well,
is it the same one?
Yeah. What's your goal to get to the tailgate? What are we talking about here? Not 8 a.m.
You guys
right?
advise me. You guys know what traffic's going to be like on game day.
It'll be spread out for a night game. I mean, the traffic going there is the getting out that's terrible.
Oh God, that's the other thing I have to deal with.
Oh, it's atrocious. Getting out of that town for a night game is just insanely ridiculous, especially when they're doing a lot of construction in downtown. Are they still doing a lot of construction?
Yeah,
downtown?
there's construction everywhere right now.
The traffic is not my concern. My concern is Wolverine fans who've been drinking all day, feeling themselves and doing the. You ever see that? Or hear the great Eddie Murphy bit about going to see Rocky,
Here we go.
And the Italian guy in the line goes up to the black guy. And
This has to do with what time you're going to get to the tailgate?
Yes, it's. If you'll bear with me, have another.
I've been
have
bearing
another
with you
Reese.
for 40 minutes and 37
But it's a great
seconds.
thing where the one guy, this little guy, sees Rocky and thinks, "Oh, I can beat Apollo Creed," and it's like, "No, you're just still a little punk," and he gets slapped down. This is what I got the little guy in the line who's going to be feeling cocky with anybody wearing green. I'm just saying you may get slapped down.
Jeez.
I can't rule that out.
You're so violent. To answer your question, I'll answer your question, Sean. If I didn't have a family, I'd be out there at 8 a.m.
Oh, damn.
Well, I mean, why wouldn't I be? But I do have a family and I have little ones. So my goal is to really time it so I can watch the end of the noon games when I get there. So trying to get there around 3.
3 sounds
Does that make
about
sense?
right to me,
Not too
too.
early.
Yeah.
That's not, well, come on. That's still 4.5 hours.
Yeah, no, that's
kickoff.
perfect.
If you
That's
guys want some
perfect.
tips on how to get out of there afterwards, let me know.
Humor me. I'd like to hear these tips.
Well, if you're a
Well,
Michigan
from where you
quarterback,
just-
I
I
would
know
say
that-
the transfer portal.
So from where you described
I'll take the Dylan McCaffrey route.
where your tailgate is, yeah, you can work your way through a neighborhood.
I park near Yost, though.
Oh, that's no cool. That's not good.
Okay, so you can't help me.
Yeah, I could maybe. Yeah, I could get you. I want to get you up.
I'll tell you the way.
Here's what I want you to do. I want you to go up Whitmore Lake Road.
Oh God, no.
Yeah, and get up to 96, and you'll avoid because 14 going back east is going to be crazy.
Wow, and who was concerned about this show going 2.5 hours? It's a traffic report.
just
Was this
trying to-
WWJ?
2 hours. That'll be about how long it takes to leave the big house to get back to this area.
I'm going to the game ET style with one of Sean's kids pedaling a magic bike, and I'm in the basket in the front,
I like that.
dressed
With
as
those
a girl.
Like those
big,
rickshaws.
Big eye. You do have big doughy eyes. Yeah, very,
Well, the forehead's getting pretty
very cute.
phone homey, that's for sure.
Really.
In fact, this space is available for rent. If you'd like to sponsor the show, send us an
It's
email.
still not mine.
mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com. Well,
You don't get called Cro-Magnon man at home.
No. You got like an 8 head. It goes
Like I
all the
do.
way to your crown.
Ann calls me
a cue ball.
Cro-Magnon man, and this is before I lost my hair.
Oh, well,
Well, stop acting like one then.
yeah.
I told her she needed a forehead extender because she has no forehead.
Who did you tell us
So
to?
that's what we're.
What a lovely relationship
Yeah,
you have
it
with your
is.
wife.
It is.
Wow, that explains the pepper spray. You thought it was Banaka. So the big game, I'm calling for the Spartans with trepidation. Mark is cautiously optimistic. And Shawn will tell us what happens. You're going to be there, right?
32-16.
32-16.
Well, why don't you stop by the tailgate then?
Maybe I will.
All
I
right.
mean, I
Radio
don't
for
know.
one. We're
be-
figuring out Sean's schedule for the day.
I don't
Be
know.
having
That's a
some
lot of pricks. in one
Gatorade
place,
and
though.
cereal
Yeah, there is.
with Harbaugh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Mike will just be holding court if I come by the tailgate.
Not me.
He'll be holding court anyway.
Do you have a stage for
No,
him?
this is
At
Matt.
the tailgate?
This is a Matt Riley joint.
there a spotlight?
If you're in a room with Matt Riley and you think you're going to upstage Matt Riley, you have never been in a room with Matt Riley.
Is he bringing the Smiths
The
cover
smaller
band?
the space, the bigger he is. He fills a room.
Well, you do too with your love and
my
kindness and empathy.
My 2,300-pound pumpkin head. But yeah, no, it would be great.
Oh man, the geeks have inherited the earth.
Did I do that?
What a dork.
Does him wanting to play with us again mean that he's turning into a geek, or we're turning into cool guys?
So I want to try a little something different with Geek of the Week. I read the Washington Post a lot,
great.
which has a lot of advice columns in there, and for some reason they have like 3 or 4 of them that they always highlight. And some of these situations are just so bizarre that they almost feel made up. But here's one.
I love the advice column.
That I would love to hear what
Carolyn
you guys
Hacks.
think about this.
Bad. Yeah.
This is Ask Amy. The questioner says, I paid for a large portion of my favorite nephew's college expenses. He's also my godson. I was happy to do this because I love him and want to support him. His mother, my sister, has told me that he is asked to have only immediate family at the college graduation. The ceremony and the dinner as well, which means I would not be included. I know that as an adult, he's 23, he has a right to choose who he wants to celebrate his graduation with. But can I at least tell him I am hurt by this? Can I ask that I also be included and that I will leave my husband and daughter at home? I do feel somewhat entitled to be there to help celebrate a college degree he was able to receive debt-free, in large part because of my generosity. My sister religiously reads your column and would greatly appreciate your input. So my question, who's the geek? The kid or the person who's begging for an invitation to this
What's the answer? I want to hear
party?
the answer. What's the
I'm
answer?
throwing it open to the floor.
No, but can we hear the professional answer first?
I think she said something like,
Be lame.
your
That's
nephew's a
talking
dick.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was.
Well, why does he want to have a
should-
small gathering? That's dumb.
Well, I mean, dude.
No,
I don't
have a
know-
problem with the small gathering.
I don't know why she expects a quid pro quo. Is that why she paid for his education, just so she could be invited to the ceremony?
No, I don't think she.
No.
That's
So
why
you
she did that.
say, hey, I'd really like to celebrate this great moment with you, and let him reconsider. And if he says no, then you honor his wishes. Pretty simple.
What kind of fucking the kid did the sister raise? Seriously.
Yes,
Jesus Christ.
yes.
What do you
This
mean?
is his godmother who paid for his education, which probably cost her at least $100,000, and she's worried about getting an invitation to have some Costco sheet cake and some wings with this shitbag.
Huh?
Yeah, you went kind of all over the place there. No,
No, the kid sucks. I wouldn't want to go. I wouldn't want to go unless I was lighting the place on fire.
That's what I was saying. I don't understand why he wants such a small gathering. Why he wouldn't want.
well, that's a different question.
Well, then she's going to ditch her husband and her kid to go to this? I mean, they love you. This kid obviously doesn't. Piss on this kid.
There has to be something else at play, right? There's got to be some family dynamic that's not
we don't
part of
know
any
about,
of this.
yeah.
This is all we have to go on.
Because otherwise, that's borderline sociopathic behavior to not invite the person that paid for your school. There's got to be something else, right?
Maybe he just wants his immediate family. Maybe he doesn't want a big celebration.
What if she's a groomer?
Well, that would be the something else.
We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know.
No, I think it's shitty of him to do it. So you give him an opportunity to reconsider, and then you honor his wishes.
So who's your geek? The kid or the...
I think they both are, because I don't know who wants to go to a graduation party that bad.
It's not that she wants to go to the graduation party that bad. If she cares enough and has that kind of relationship where she's funding his college, right? And then to get sprayed, that's just weird. It's not weird. It's just
or she could
shitty.
She could offer to take him out on her own, have their own little celebration.
I think she should send this son of a bitch a bill.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be like, hey,
is that
by
why
the
she
way-
did it though? Come on. I mean, I thought she
No,
was
but
doing
this
it for
4 years later, and this is what he's fucking showing. I'm with Mike on this. Fuck that.
And he's 23, so I'm thinking this kid's on the 5-year program.
So
So
you'd
he's
send him
into
a
her.
bill?
He's into her for 6 figures deep. Oh yeah, I'd say you didn't send me an invitation, but I sent you a bill. Eat that.
He's
I
terribly
wouldn't send him a
terribly
bill.
ungrateful if you look at this invitation.
But
I don't
how do
know.
the parents not, the mom, I don't know about the dad, but how does the sister not say to her son, you got to suck this up?
Yeah. No, the
You
fact
can't do this.
The fact that this sister is looking for advice from some newspaper columns, and this, who knows how old this letter is? This may not have come in time. No, this whole family sucks. They're our geeks of the week.
Thank you. Yeah, it's the whole family.
Despicable.
There's an all-night party in room 7609. La, 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 la.
I almost forgot to mention that a big Hollywood star is liked my picture at the
big Hollywood star
at the Washington State game
big
or the
Hollywood
Washington game.
star.
So
big Hollywood star would be like The Rock.
So
The Rock liked it.
S. Lee, whose handle on Twitter is Stately, posted the picture of me looking cross at the Washington Huskies game and said, "I feel your pain." And guess who liked it?
A big Hollywood star. So probably local.
Tim Allen.
Jeff Daniels.
Mother, grandmother, wife, actor, director.
All right, so it's a woman. Wait, I want to
Melissa Gilbert.
New York Times bestselling author, advocate, activist, New Yorker, survivor, OG, half pint. How'd you know it was Melissa Gilbert?
Because I was trying to think of people that would live in
How
that
did
area.
you pull that out of your
But
ass?
Shawn, he said big Hollywood star.
Because I have read that she lives in Brighton or Howell or somewhere, so she's surely a Spartan fan, and it just kind of. Yeah.
But he said big Hollywood star.
But I knew he was exaggerating a little.
Oh,
wow, damn. Okay, well now we're gonna
she
play
pay her taxes yet?
Yeah, she didn't say that. It's just there was no comment. She just
crazy.
She just liked it. But
The 30-something guy's her husband, right?
Yeah,
Jimmy
Busfield.
Busfield. Yeah,
Who was in a fun little movie called Sneakers or something.
and Revenge,
And Revenge of the Nerds, my man.
Oh yeah, you remember Sneakers, right? With
Poindexter.
Terrible movie.
No one saw Sneakers.
Robert
Terrible.
Redford
Robert and Sidney
Sidney
Poitier.
Poitier.
Talk about
One
the
of the
nerds
worst
instead.
movies
David
I've ever
Strathairn,
seen in
who
my
I love.
life. It was an awful movie. It was terrible.
And the bad guy, Ben Kingsley.
Ben Kingsley.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
Wait, what is this piece
You
of shit
hate
movie?
Gandhi?
What's this POS movie? What's it called again?
Sneakers. Terrible. It's sort of like Ocean's 11, but it wasn't. It was just smart aleck guys who were spies, and they're all buddies. and
It's a total
they're
guilty
quirky.
pleasure.
And you said
Yeah.
Ben Kingsley's in it? I just want to see what it
Awful.
got on Rotten Tomatoes. You guys ever look at Rotten Tomatoes?
Guilty pleasure.
Occasionally.
I love Rotten Tomatoes, even
But-
if I disagree with them.
So
Sneakers. Wait, hang on. Sneakers. Robert Redford, was he in it?
He was
yes,
the main star. Yep.
Sidney Poitier.
Dan Aykroyd.
Yep.
Oh,
What a
Plays a
cast.
Just a
terrible
death.
He plays a terrible character.
Okay.
he's always terrible.
I got news for you, ML. 80% from both critics and the audience.
What?
No, it's a total guilty pleasure.
Apparently not. A lot of people are bragging.
Mary McDonnell, or
How does it get an 80% with, this is the consensus from the critics. There isn't much to Sneakers plot, and that's more than made up for the film's breezy panache and high-tech lingo.
exactly. That's kind of
Yeah,
what it is.
it's all these big stars trying to be charming, and then it's like a buddy film caper heist. That's
Yeah,
awful.
it's kind of fun.
One of the worst movies ever.
It's a fun little breeze. You know,
Put me in the 20%.
There's actually lots of bad movies out there. This is not one of them. It's just a breezy, little, silly, entertaining thing.
Oh.
And I'm not going to cuss. If you got your popcorn and paid for some concessions, you might have
Or
enjoyed.
just sneak your own cup in.
Yeah, you might have enjoyed.
Anjanette is not here. You can
Next
say,
time, get a little extra butter. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, you can't get enough butter and salt.
Okay.
So Shawn guessed who the big Hollywood star is. So we're going to challenge him again to see if he can guess who the artist is for this week's entry in room 7609, which I picked because before the homecoming game where Michigan State beat Wisconsin, my buddy John sent me a link and said, use this to get amped up for the game. And we did.
I got my keys. I got my head down to my lungs and move my feet. Me, I got all the secretaries down on their knees. Look at them scoot. They're gonna I got my money tied up and stuff. I got my man, me take my doggy for a walk. Me, I got the biggest little business down on the block. Get ready, get set. 'Cause we gonna
Well, we stopped streaming on YouTube, but I think Shawn is streaming right now, so I'm not sure that he understood part of the exercise was to see if he could identify.
Of course he didn't. He does. Shawn does his own show while we do this show. You know that.
Yeah, I think he's trying to meld them by cleaning up his potty mouth. I think he's hoping for some sort of crossover here with the more mainstream audience.
I think you should still ask him who he thought it was. See how much he didn't pay attention. Just to call him out on it. Now, I knew who it was, and I think it sounds like that band.
You do?
I do, but I don't go terribly deep with them. So based on the limited knowledge I have of said band.
Well, he's not here, so I think we can say the name. But it's
Devo.
It's Devo, Clockout.
Yeah.
And it sounds way more punk to me than it does new wavy.
Wait a second.
But,
right, Shawn's back.
Wait a minute. Didn't you go?
Exactly. That's why I'm laughing.
This is.
What are you doing?
This
Shawn
is
left. So we're in a basement. He goes up the stairs to go to the bathroom, and next thing you know, he comes back through the side door of the basement.
Well,
I can't figure out what happened.
That's best case scenario. Worst case scenario is there are two Shawns, and one of them's going to come down the stairs in a minute. And then what the hell are we going to do?
He's laughing pretty hard, but I wonder if the bathroom was occupied. Did you go pee outside?
No, I had a little bit of the Halloween candy lodged in the throat, and after I peed, I thought, I forgot my drink when I walked in earlier, so I went out the front door to get because it would save some time, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, clearly.
Plus, that way I wouldn't have to listen to the song.
Plus, Shawn's still
you
mad.
missed the exercise.
I heard this. I'm still mad about what?
Shawn's still mad that I told him that Drew installed a drinking fountain in his bathroom, and he later learned it was a bidet.
Oh, you told me that. I don't remember that.
Yeah, you remember that? You're like, that water's it's very cool.
I love it when you're so pleased with your jokes that you like to repeat them. You know, even.
Oh, have we done that one before?
No, we haven't. But you know,
bring the other Shawn down. We're done with this one already. So do you know who that artist was?
I did.
In the four beats, the three measures that you heard before.
When I went out to get my drink and I walked, I was coming back to the house and
uncoil your rope.
I thought I'm really gonna enjoy coming in the side after I left.
All right, what band is this?
No, seriously,
what band is this?
I thought that was gonna be fun. I don't know.
You're not even gonna guess. You're the worst.
We're thinking of making it Shawn's theme song. It's called Clockout because that's kind of what he does before we get to the end of the show. When he although today,
no, wait a second. You can't just keep no revisionism here. Normally, you say I come to life at the end of the show. So which is?
No, that's what I'm saying. As I'm saying is you kind of clock out and then at the end you're like boom. It's but today it's a steady stream of. Maybe not such a steady stream.
Bullshit.
It was.
It's a weak stream.
No, it's a very weak stream.
There were spurts of very concentrated contributions. So this is Devo. You love Devo.
I do. Yeah, Devo's fine. Yeah.
Does this sound like Devo to you? Mark thinks it sounds like Devo.
I thought it did.
Who is it?
It's Devo.
Devo.
Okay.
It's from their first album.
Yeah,
and
great.
It sounds more punky to me than.
Why are you slamming the table?
You're not going to get anything out of him, ML.
I always think of Devo as kitschy, but now.
What do you want me to say? Yeah, Devo's.
I thought you'd have a stronger opinion on it.
No,
it's fine.
But this was an opportunity to opine on.
It's better than some of the stuff that we play. Opine on what?
On Devo. Like I have a question for you. Are they not men?
I don't know.
Oh no,
they
are
not
Devo.
Men? Are we not men?
I know it was a setup, but it's,
I know, but. I wasted it.
You may have a fun-sized Snicker wrapper stuck in your trunk.
You guys are men. How about that?
Among men.
I'm
yes. Not. Okay. Well, that's room 7609. We love to get your suggestions. Again, we're looking for underappreciated new wave bands and just a tune from a band that we all know and love that maybe we haven't really heard, like Clockout by Devo. So you can send those as well as your feedback to mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com. You can also go to our website, which is mlsoulofdetroit.com, and make a donation, as Bryant did. Loving the show, loving Shawn, and really appreciate our guest last week.
Did he really say that? That's shocking.
Yeah, he does. He's a big fan. Evelyn Aschenbrenner, who was volunteering in the Ukraine, or in Ukraine, sorry, not the Ukraine. Duly noted. Great episode last week, told some fascinating stories, and we love to bring both irreverent, irregular guests as well as our unique take on the world. So thank you, Bryant, for your support. And if you would like to support us, it's actually such a complicated process. I have to turn it over to Mark to explain it.
Yeah. He's being very facetious. MLSoloDetroit.com. Little donate button on there. It'll take you right to PayPal.
That's it. Oh, wow. Okay. So I got that one wrong, too. We appreciate your feedback. You can send that to us at mlsolvedetroit@gmail.com. Carolyn says, I see the kooky Ingham County judge is being floated as the next president of MSU. This was picked up by all the statewide Detroit outlets, which makes me think there might actually be some validity to it. I think she would be a disaster. However, in the unlikely event Gretchen Whitmer falls short of being reelected next month, wouldn't she make a great MSU president? She's a double state alum and would have the name recognition and fundraising prowess to be a great university president. Plus, she's technically a trained lawyer, which is likely handy for all those tricky Title IX issues which plague state. I know she's seized with getting to D.C., but if she loses, would she really turn down $900,000 to $1 million a year gig at MSU? That's an interesting take. I don't know that she's focused on anything but the election right now, but this judge was the judge that presided over some of the Larry Nassar cases, and I don't know that she's being floated. I think she floated herself as a potential president, which seemed a little weird, and my thinking about these kind of jobs.
Is it Judge Aquilina?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Both newspapers, the Free Press and the News, and perhaps some others, wrote that she said, I'd be interested in being the interim president at MSU. I think I could do a great job, which...
Is that really where they get college presidents from the bench?
Well, the other thing is, when you're a judge, nobody ever tells you you're wrong. When you're a president, you gotta listen to all sides.
And you gotta raise money.
Well, yeah, and the other thing is, I kind of think...
Don't they typically want people from the world of academia?
Or business. I mean, they've had, government or business where people know how to deal with other governments and know how to raise money and navigate the corporate shark-infested waters. But the other thing about Whitmer, which would make her an interesting president, is that she's also a survivor of sexual assault. So she'd be very attuned to some of these issues that the university may still not be handling very well. But I think it will not be Governor Whitmer.
I don't think so at all.
Nor will it be this judge who it kind of feels like if you want the job, that disqualifies you. But
yeah, and wouldn't it be better if it came from someone who was out of state?
Well, and can we have some sort of search committee?
That's what I mean.
Although
why do they have to be someone that's from or currently in this state?
Yeah, no, I don't see that happening. And the president of Michigan, who seems to be settling in nicely, came all the way from British Columbia. So you don't just need to cast a net across these great United States. You can hit all of the broad.
Do we have any more of the advice stuff?
Did you guys like that? I may bring some more back.
That was really fun.
I love advice.
There's some crazy stuff in there.
It's fun topics, yeah.
It was harder to pick a geek in that than I thought, because I always thought it was the kid, but the more we talked about it,
Life
the more...
is gray. I love that you're starting to learn that. I'm proud of you.
I was
proud of you.
I was bummed to realize the whole family blows. Any more feedback, he asked, knowing the answer?
Is that me? Is that my cue to read this long email? Very well written.
Mine or yours? Or is it the same email?
Let's go with Mark, and if we still have energy, we'll get the rejoinder from the same author.
Isabella wrote this, and it is really long. I will not paraphrase it, so bear with me.
You going to read the whole thing?
I'll read the whole thing. I don't mind.
Okay.
I held up. What?
I have time to go back upstairs?
You might have time to make a pot roast.
Kidding.
But leave the candy. It's a choking hazard among children. I'm glad they didn't get you a ring pop.
Okay.
Oh, more Twizzlers.
She writes, Dear Mr. Soul of Detroit, that would be you, ML. I held off on sending this note because I wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt. You seem like a kind man who loves his community, his alma mater, his friends and family, so I don't mean this personally.
This is a great letter, Mark. And Shawn, did you have anything? Oh, no, there's more?
This is only in regards to your capacity as a professional journalist. The last straw before sending this note was today, reading you bootlicking the sociopathic thug Mike Duggan and his sociopathic Democratic Party elite crony prosecutor David Layton up in Genesee County, and casually smearing a shop owner you deem low-status white trash. Isn't that right, Mr. Joe Sixpack Maverick reporter, who is actually an elitist smug asshole who grew up in Peak Grosse Pointe and sent his to the most prestigious day school in Michigan?
Yeah, we'll try and work through the inaccuracies.
That really helps her point.
I was choking on the injustice.
It is just so ridiculous and disgusting for you to carry water for politicians who weaponize law enforcement and their prosecutors and Justice Department cronies to smear and literally destroy the lives of their foes. You write like a Pravda operative. Do you not care, or are you really this dense, or is this a prostitute trying to keep your job for the next round of Gannett layoffs? Ooh. Whatever the case, you need to drop your fake renegade reporter shtick, because you are anything but. You are a coward. How do you not pick up on this theme? Whether it's $300,000 a year, a Rochester superintendent sending sheriff's deputies to a parent's house off psychotic dossier lies, or getting them fired for lies, Reed legitimately seeking to destroy their reputation and lives with the arrest records and implored their careers, or Mike Duggan using his old crony prosecutor David Layton to destroy the life of some white trash shop owner who exposed his affair, exposed him illegally living in Novi, exposed him illegally sliding $500,000 in grant dollars to his mistress, and then his staff illegally ordering deletion of all evidence, or Dana Nessel leaking Craig Mauger and you unverified dirt on Lee Chatfield. Okay. And go ahead and pretend your Sunday piece and leak just days prior to Mauger's in a well-choreographed hit before the election to smear Republicans and make Nessel appear palatable. Whatever the case, how are you kosher with political power, sicking cops and prosecutors on foes? You pretend to care about the little guy while you weaponize your ink to keep a boot on their throat to the benefit of political and business elites.
Maybe we should pause there for a minute. I think
because that's only halfway.
I didn't realize how long it was until I heard it read aloud. But so what Isabella is referring to is I wrote a column in today's Free Press on Bob Carmack. Bob Carmack is back, and for what it's worth, I called him a rough around the edges auto shop owner, not a white trash, whatever she said. That's her term.
Yeah, I don't consider him low status white trash. I mean, the guy's got a lot of money, and
this is the beauty and the danger of Bob Carmack to people. They underestimate him at their peril because they see a fairly unsophisticated looking guy. In fact, he was wearing the same T-shirt on Monday that he had worn like 4 years ago outside the courthouse. Yeah. He's got kind of a crazy hairdo, and he rolls around in brightly colored Corvettes. And his thinking is not linear, but he tends to get where he's going, and he's a very resourceful cat. And for people who have criticized me for listening to him, for saying, he's got these drunk driving cases, he got these other things, he's kind of an unscrupulous businessman, I always tell him, who do you think is going to know who's in on the dirty deals, except someone that's in the room when they're going down?
Well, and so what happened is a judge dismissed the case against him, right? The criminal charges, and that refers to he paid money for a piece of land when Kilpatrick was mayor, correct?
Well, he spent some money to explore developing some property, and then the Kilpatrick administration, he says,
shake him down,
came to him and said, we need $50,000. He said, I'm not going to do it. Then later on, somebody in the city on their own initiative sent him a deed, and he was supposed to give them $250,000 for it, but he didn't. He figured, well, I spent that much money on the project that got stymied, so maybe this is somebody's way of doing a make good.
Now if you stop right there, that sounds really shitty on Carmack's side. However, I feel like he paid taxes on this deed, right? He paid taxes on this land, and he was very upfront and forward with the city saying, I'm going to sell this land. Do you guys have a problem with it? You gave me the deed. Do you have a problem with it? Are we cool? And they said, yeah. So he sold it. And I don't know why he would be at fault there.
Yeah, he actually said, hey, somebody sent me this. I'm going to sell it unless you tell me I can't.
Yeah.
And they said, give us a copy of the deed. He never heard from them again.
Yeah.
And as I wrote in the column, when I first heard about these criminal charges against Carmack, I thought, oh, crap, he's dead man walking. But it turns out when you commit a crime like this, they have to prove intent. Tough to prove intent when you said, I'm going to sell this if you don't tell me not to, and you don't tell him not to when he sells it. And then you also have to, if you're going to get a deal, you have to purchase it, but you don't have to use dollars. You can do consideration. And in his mind, the consideration was, I spent $250,000 that you told me to spend. you stop me in my tracks and you give me something else of value, that must be how I bought it, is with the money I already spent. The logic's a little sketchy, but it was a case that really probably should have just been dealt with as a lawsuit as opposed to a criminal case, which I noted in my column. I've done more stories on Bob and his adventures, let's call them, than any other reporter in town. I talk to Bob all the time, including this morning. So anybody who thinks I'm attacking Bob, you got to be kidding. Anybody who thinks I'm on Duggan's payroll, I'm also the reporter who did the story about how Duggan and Todd Flood were trying to work a deal with Carmack to keep some stuff that he was afraid might be incriminating buried, because Bob's also a little bit loose around the edges. There actually was no such material, but Bob was recording all these conversations, so he's an interesting cat, and I'll continue to write about him. But the devil doesn't wear Pravda over here, okay? I mean, I'm holding all these guys accountable. I don't answer to the Republican or the Democratic Party. Craig Mauger is a great reporter at the Detroit News. We don't work in cahoots on anything. And my column on Sunday merely pointed out that this Lee Chatfield deal that's being investigated now, there's a lot of evidence.
Oh, Lee Chatfield's a whole different story. I mean,
absolutely, but if people follow this to its logical conclusion, they could put a lot of Democrats and a lot of Republicans in a lot of uncomfortable spots, and probably some of them in prison. And I'm just advocating, as I will continue to advocate, that law enforcement get to the bottom of this and not get freaked out when they kick over a rock and see a very powerful or rich person sitting there. And I did grow up in Grosse Pointe, but I was very poor, so kiss my ass.
I do think, and I mean, this is where it's open for interpretation. I think Carmack, well, I know Carmack feels like the reason he was hit with that criminal charge was because he exposed the affair.
Yes, and his logic
he was a thorn in Duggan's side.
You guys are very informed.
Now, I do feel like
very thoughtful.
I do think that's why it happened. I think that I 100% believe that in my heart, that Duggan did want to go after him in one shape or in one kind of fashion he wanted to go after him. It's going to be hard for Carmack to prove that because they kicked it out of Wayne County because of a conflict of interest.
Do you think Frank's going to be able to break the record next year with the pumpkin?
Oh, jeez.
Uh-oh. I think this letter writer is going to be able to break the record with longest letter. We're only halfway through it. But the thing about when you put this on a timeline, and I mentioned this in my column again, that Carmack showed this video on November 14th of 2018, and 5 weeks later he's charged with multiple felonies. It looks like, 1, 2, and then 3 is going to court. The truth is, though, that to do a criminal investigation, it's going to take more than 5 weeks to get the case together. And then they referred it to the Wayne County prosecutor for prosecution. She passed on it, as you noted, claiming a conflict of interest. So they go to a bunch of other prosecutors and say, who will take this case? That takes time. So I think the criminal case was in the works before Carmack showed the video. Now, Duggan and Carmack were fighting over some other properties, so it's entirely possible that they were looking into Carmack because of some other beef before the videos came out. And Carmack says he's going to file a lawsuit, and he's going to use that as a mechanism to get records that will help him prove that Duggan has been out to get him from the beginning. And as I noted in my column today, Carmack isn't going to prison, and he's not going away, and only time will tell whether he can prove his hypothesis. But this is Duggan's worst nightmare. This is a guy who's not afraid of anybody, who seems to have resources that are not running out, and who has got a taste for the mayor's ass like you can't believe, and is going to go after him. Nobody wants to have a dog on their tail like that. And so the Carmack story is going to play out probably over the next year or two, and it is going to be fascinating because now he sees himself as this crusader for justice, as this North Pole, this North Star for everybody in town who feels like they've been crushed by government to gravitate towards. And he's enjoying that attention, and he's enjoying that role, and he seems to have the will and the dollars to continue. So
that's question for you. You said, as you noted in your column, and then earlier in the show, you said duly noted. So what's the distinction there for you? How do you decide when you're going to use duly?
Well, she mentioned my Irish heritage.
And when you're not.
Duly noted is a guy back in Killarney.
Okay.
I know. Yeah.
Well, that's the second half of the email. I'll keep reading it.
Oh, geez.
I thought you were
really?
I thought you were a proud Irishman student of history, well aware of how the English treated your people. It seems like you would have been an eager double agent provocateur to help sell your people down the river. It sadly makes one wonder why you have always been such a wicked and duplicitous servant to power. I don't know if that really, I think that's the exact opposite.
I guess the benefit of the doubt is long gone at this point.
I mean, knowing you, I don't think you're
not duplicitous.
You're not a servant of power in any shape or fashion. Anyway, sorry.
I liked it better when it seemed like I was a kind man.
I'm thinking yes.
that ship sailed along with me ancestors.
I got an email this morning that started out. Did you fall?
We got on the boat in Galway.
I'm thinking yes.
Did you fall out of a tree?
You always have been a whore. In retrospect, your Pulitzer is fake, and you walking around with Kwame's head on a spike isn't sexy or impressive. It makes you a racist.
It's supposed to be sexy?
Makes you a racist disgrace.
I'd settle for impressive, but
that prize was nothing but an insider attaboy to a servant for helping out powerful white people push a regime change in 90% black Detroit. They wanted Kwame out. They wanted Kwame's mom out. They wanted Kwame's dad out. They wanted the Conyers duo out. They wanted Detroit bankrupt. And while their white political they wanted their white political hack crook in. Or do you still think we're all idiots and believe that it took the FBI 15 years to bust a dipshit like Kwame? And we're to believe an illiterate city elected Duggan in a writing campaign, too. They busted Kwame when they wanted, when the powers that be gave the go-ahead, and the white men who got rich off Kwame never served a day in jail. Suave literally cracked jokes on the stand, and now they all get even richer off Duggan. It's no wonder why the black community has such disdain for you. They see through you. They see what an evil operative you are. P.S. Spare me the toady reporters are above reproach, as if all 100% honest and nonpartisan public servants. This region in Lansing has a well-documented history of crooked judges, politicians, bureaucrats, and Medicare and Medicaid scamming, and opioid-dealing doctors. Your industry is no different.
Ooh, Cyrus, take us out.
Really?
No, where do we start here? I mean, so first of all...
Take the high road.
You've taken out white people, too. I'll just say that.
Take the high road.
When Kilpatrick left office, the next mayor was Ken Cockrell, and after that it was, I think, 6 years of Dave Bing. So there was not a straight line from Kilpatrick to Duggan.
This whole idea of wanting him out, I mean, he committed the crime.
Right. Well, the other thing is, you know who one of Kilpatrick's biggest supporters was right up till the bitter end? Mike Duggan. You know who kept Kilpatrick in power? Rich white guys. Roger Penske. Okay.
Yeah.
Jim Nicholson from PVS Chemicals, Dan Gilbert, Matty Maroon. These are the people who supported him when he was
Peter
on.
Carmanos.
Yeah, Peter Carmanos, exactly.
Yep.
When he was on his deathbed in 2005, they pumped all this money into his campaign to get him reelected. They're the ones who wanted him to be mayor. They're the ones who wanted him to stay mayor. And in the end, they gave him some walking away money because they realized it was not going to work anymore. But one of the big myths about Kilpatrick is that he was this, up from the rags type of guy. He had a more privileged upbringing than me. And like I said, and as our letter writer pointed out,
saying something.
I grew up in Grosse Pointe.
Wasn't he the chosen one?
He was, yes. That's what his mother called him. You know, I mean, this guy's family had connections.
He had a lot of privilege.
Yeah.
When you were in high school, you snuck out to the servants' quarters to smoke your weed?
The servants' quarters is what I called home.
Oh, okay.
And when I smoked weed, it was actually dandelions. That's all we could afford.
Did you use a can or an apple, or did you roll your joints? Or
the Coke can with a little carburetor.
Yeah.
As I got more sophisticated.
Oh, nice.
You gotta put that little hole in it.
I like that.
But no, Kilpatrick was a servant of the rich and powerful. And they're the ones who kept him in office, and they're the ones who gave him the money to go away when it became untenable. But this is a very well written, very long letter. I think the grammar is fantastic. Factually, no, very few facts in there, but we appreciate.
Well, it kind of goes.
feedback.
It kind of goes to Sean's point about everything is not.
What?
There's a lot of nuance to things, right? Just because
Wait,
one
I
thing.
said that?
Yeah, you did about 12 minutes ago before I started reading the email. That took me that long.
Yeah, no, and I think we're also, I think we would also disagree that most of Detroit is illiterate. A smug asshole. Okay, maybe.
That's actually.
You might have got me on that.
True.
I do find
about
it amazing.
I'm not sure where the Rochester superintendent comes into all of this. This kind of feels like throwing everything you can.
Did you write about that?
No, we've talked about it on the show.
Yeah.
In fact, we talked about it on the show as being an outrageous situation. So I'm not sure where this is going on, but
I do. Okay, there's one Bart brought it, and I don't know if you have any insight to this. I still am amazed that Mike Duggan won a write-in campaign. I guess I'm amazed that anybody ever wins any write-in campaign.
Yeah, and that is that. I mean,
so maybe there's
crazy.
something there. I don't know.
Well, the other thing is he won a write-in campaign against a very how do we put it, turgid opponent who was not a enthusiastic campaigner, who was not very well funded, and who was counting on winning based on name recognition. That would be Benny Napoleon. Duggan, as I was the first reporter to expose, outspent him by millions of dollars because the corporate community coalesced behind Duggan and sent him a wave of cash that he rode right through the election. But yes, his election on a write-in is one of the most amazing political stories of our times. But it's been almost 10 years, and no one's come up with one scrap of evidence that it was corrupt. I think what we learned is if you have enough money, you can get a white guy elected in a write-in campaign. And that's what's wrong with politics, is that money is often the decisive factor.
It's the decisive factor.
Yeah, and I also think that racism was a part of it in a way that people don't think it was. So let me just explain that. Is there were people who said, we're sick of Kwame Kilpatrick. Kwame Kilpatrick was black. We want to have the opposite of Kwame Kilpatrick, so we're going to go with a white guy. Some people, I think, voted for Duggan because he was white, because they wanted as big a change as they could possibly have, without going a little deeper and realizing, holy crap, Benny Napoleon had nothing to do with Kwame Kilpatrick, but Mike Duggan is practically his cousin.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The whole McNamara machine, right?
There is racism
When are they
out there.
going to
Racism
rename
is
the
stupid.
airport, right? Shouldn't they do that at some point?
Well, they just renamed half of it for Warren Evans for reasons that aren't at all clear to me.
No, who's still alive, too. It's weird having an airport named after
the terminal, not the airport. Sorry. We can't keep... It shouldn't be called the McNamara Terminal, right?
Of course not. No.
It's ridiculous.
They should sell those rights to a corporation.
Yeah, they should if they want to.
Make some money off it. It should not be about. It should
Little
not be
Caesars
about
Airport.
It should not be about assuaging the egos of politicians. It should be about making money and improving the customer experience.
You make some money, or just say Detroit, whatever. Call it something local.
Yeah.
What's the
Detroit Wayne Airport?
What's the?
Well, we used to call it Metro Airport.
DTW.
Yeah.
How about?
Well, what's the state flower? How about that?
That's funny. What?
The state bird.
Pumpkin blossom, Frank.
For you, apparently, it's weed. I don't know where your mind's been today.
I wish I could smoke weed. Ugh.
The marijuana airport.
Yeah. So what's next?
So
fellas?
I think there was another several pages from Isabella, but maybe we'll come back to that next week. It's next week already. Damn, that was a long letter. So I think we'll just ask Shawn. We got his prediction for the game: 32-16, Michigan.
Yes.
And what do you guys talk about on the
I think it
Carlos
might
and
be a
Shawn
sneaky
podcast?
We talked about the Michigan State game. Our what do you call him? A beat writer. Couldn't think of the phrase. Tony Garcia covers Michigan for us. He was our guest.
Tony's been promoted. That's a new gig for him.
Well, he's filling in. How about that?
He's a very talented reporter.
He is, and he
writer.
gets after. He's got a lot of juice, like yourself. It's like a young Mike, a little nicer, but not as handsome as you.
He's got a lot of juice. You said, right?
Yeah, a lot of
I don't
juice.
want you going yee on us here.
No. I'm not pumpkin juice.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, talk to him. Big game coming up. A little bit about the Lions. Another heartbreaking loss. All the Detroit fans that flew down to Texas made some noise in that Cowboys stadium, and those folks really stick with it year after year after year. It's impressive, to be honest with you.
Well, we like our teams, man.
Yeah, we do.
Stockholm syndrome.
It's really
through good and bad.
It's really something. It's a great fan base. Anyway, yeah. So there you go. That's it. What's next for you?
Another great column in the Detroit Free Press, which we encourage you to subscribe to at
keep 'em
freep.com.
coming.
Because we are taking layoffs, by the way. We may be taking layoffs. We're having cutbacks because the finances are tough. Gannett is cutting back at newspapers so far that has not hit the Free Press, partly because...
Thank God you're doing your, let's see, thank God you're a prostitute trying to keep your job from the next round of layoffs, according to the email.
Yeah, so let's we can certainly address that.
Or is Joe Pantoliano? Is it Pantoliano? Said
Pantoliano
said Hooer.
Hooer, yes.
Yeah,
Hooer.
no. So So if they cut deep enough to lay me off, I'll go. I've already switched to part-time to help save the company a little dough and to get a head start on a student investigative reporting project I want to do. So no, I
wait a second. You're part-time?
Yeah,
that's 1 foot out the door again. I'm gonna fucking
starting last week. I went to 4 days a week. No, this is something we'd always envisioned because we'll be talking about this later on the show. But I'm trying to launch a student on this show. I'm trying to, because I'd like people to support it. Not this week.
Okay.
I'm trying to launch a student investigative reporting program so we can give kids the skills to dig deep and to produce more investigative reporting for the good people of the state of Michigan. And so,
fabulous. Damn. Hooer.
The difference is whores get paid.
It's hooer. Hooer.
I'm just giving this shit away. So we appreciate your support. Please support our advertisers, Hall Financial and Luke Nowacki at Pinnacle Wealth Strategies. You can support us with the donation. And you can also support us by being a participant in the show, by sending us your emails, by maybe leaving us a voicemail at 288-9070. That's Butterfield 89070. Please rate the show. If you are on a platform, we'd love to have some ratings. Give us your feedback. Share the show, like our posts. And please subscribe to YouTube channel ML Elric. It supports the show because we build up our following on YouTube, and it also gets you an alert whenever we go live. And until next week, we turn to our friend Cyrus to take us out.
Can you dig that? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
The spirit of Halloween is yours to share.
Are you sure it's legal? Oh, good grief.
With It's the Soul of Detroit on DVD. And also on a remastered deluxe edition DVD, just in time to cast your vote.
The candidate whose name I would like to place before the electorate possesses the same unique combination of qualities as Beethoven. Good grief.
It's You're Not Elected, ML Elric.
I have the results of my poll.
Includes an all-new documentary and a bonus episode.
You'll never be elected.
ML Elric. Look for them on deluxe edition DVD.